everybody, it's Edmond Vanderbilt with another episode of Once Around the Block. I'm here with the one, the only
Tom Clark.
Hey Tom, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
A little early in the morning.
It's early in the morning for you?
Well, sometimes, you know, it's...
I think everything's relative. Can I tell everybody it's 11 a.m.?
Yeah.
So that's early.
Well, I wake up early, but I don't get out of the house this early. Usually.
Okay, cool. Do you work late?
Yeah, a lot of times I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, general public, who is Tom Clark here?
Well, I'm the neighbor of the guy that told you about me, Bradley. I live in New York. I'm a musician. Work in a bar, like every other musician in New York.
Yeah.
I've lived here 32 years, and this has been my neighborhood for the last 5 or 6.
Okay. And New York, 32 years. It's been through a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, you know, I mean, 20 years ago, you and I wouldn't be walking around this particular block.
Totally.
We would not be here.
So has it been like a fun change, a fun growth? Has it been up and down?
Well, it's, you know, it's a pretty amazing city. I don't know if you've spent much time here, but it's pretty great. And although a lot of the good stuff people complain about has disappeared, but you know, there's still a hell of a lot of good stuff in New York City. I mean, I gave myself 3 years, and I'm still here. You know?
32 years ago, you gave yourself 3 years?
Yeah.
And what did you come to do?
Musician.
Yeah.
I moved here. I was a musician back home and in bands, and I was 20 years old, almost 21 when I moved here. And I wrote one fan letter to a guy named Marshall Crenshaw, who I really admire, and he actually wrote me back. It was my first and only fan letter, and he said, "Go for it."
He said, "Go for it." And
yeah, so
was
I
that
blame
the
him
sign?
now.
Yeah. Was that the sign you needed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, I really thought I'd probably stay in Illinois my whole life. I never even saw an ocean until I moved to New York.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty landlocked in Illinois.
Yeah.
A place called DeKalb, Illinois.
All right. And you've got quite the rich history as a musician.
Yeah, well, you know, rich in some ways, I guess, poor in many other ways.
I understand. You've played with some of the greats. You know, did you have any stories you want to share?
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's really hard to just come up with one in my head.
Totally.
But, you know, it's been a pretty fun time, you know. Sometimes you kind of get to live the rock star life without actually being a rock star.
But I think, okay, I guess everything's dependent on how you see things. You're kind of a rock star. How many guitars do you have?
How many guitars?
Yeah.
Oh, goes up and down, mostly up. It's around 115.
115.
Guess.
Wow. And where do you keep those?
You gonna rob me?
No. That's funny. I didn't even think of that.
No, I keep them all over the place, mostly in a special climate-controlled
Okay,
storage
cool.
space.
Yeah.
I used to have a big place, which I would actually like to make a documentary about. This building I lived in Brooklyn for 21 years, but very close to here, and I had 2 floors and a backyard. It was an old bar, and like everything in New York, they kicked us all out, tore it down, and now it's just been a vacant lot for the last 10 years. But it was a pretty amazing place. I had plenty of room.
So is that like an issue you're seeing a lot of with like space for artists changing?
Absolutely. I mean, even this neighborhood, when I moved here in 1986, you could rent any one of these storefronts for like $400 a month.
Yeah.
You could live in it if you wanted. You could start a store where you sold nothing but thumbtacks, and you know, if it didn't work, so what? You know. But now, forget about it. You know, Jimmy Cagney was born on this block.
Okay.
Which I find fascinating.
Yeah, totally.
When I moved here, I lived way uptown on 103rd Street, and I was, you know, the subway was, I think it was 90 cents, and I couldn't really swing it, so I'd walk downtown every day, just about pretty much. And I'd always take a different street. I'm a big New York history buff, so I'm always reading any plaque I see, I read.
And you know it like the back of your hand at this point.
No, not really. That's the fun thing about New York. There's always some
amazing.
alley or side street you never saw before, and you know, the hint to New York is look up, because all the best parts of the buildings are up at the top.
It's so funny because this whole time I've been looking down.
There
so
you go.
You're right. You know? Look up. Keep your chin up, right?
Yeah.
So when you came, you were hustling to make it. You were playing a lot. You were on the streets.
I was
you were
playing
busking,
a lot. I was doing that. I was playing in the streets, playing in the subway stations. My first job in New York City was I stood in front of Astor Place Barbershop, which back then had 120 barbers. It was like 3 stories.
Yeah.
And they sort of popularized the whole mohawk thing.
Really?
It was a little 4-chair barbershop, and these 2 brothers started doing kind of crazy punk rock haircuts and stuff, and it took off. And by the time I got here, it was 3 floors, and a girl just made a documentary about it a while back. I haven't seen it yet, but I stood outside for 9.5 hours one day and was singing just to try to get some dough.
Yeah.
And the owner, Enrico Veza, came out and hired me for 8 hours a day.
Wow.
7 days a week.
Really?
For $20 a day, he paid me.
Whoa.
And,
What was that like back then?
It was a struggle because
Yeah.
you know, first of all, you realize people went there because their haircuts were cheap, because
Right.
they didn't have any money, and
Right.
I was basically pestering people as they were, you know, it was like a hostage situation. They were getting their hair cut,
Yeah.
so they couldn't run. So, you know, they'd stick dollars in my guitar, and I inhaled a lot of perm solution and whatnot. But
Did that get you through the day?
I did that for almost 2 years in that place, and I met a guy from Ireland named Hank Weedell, who's still one of my best friends, who turned me on to like playing gigs in Irish bars up in the Bronx and
Yeah.
Queens, and they actually paid a lot of money back then, so I really made my living that way for a long time.
Awesome.
It's that really is kind of paying your dues in a different way.
Totally.
It's brutal.
But that's, you know, in terms of the creative type or the creative passion or whatever, it takes a lot of work, right?
Absolutely. You know, anybody that goes out there and does that, I mean, there's so many people that are DJs now because they have a freaking iPod, you
Right.
know. And, you know, whatever, that's their thing, and that's what people want to do, fine, but I still get a little excited. When it used to be every other person down here had a guitar on their back. It was insane. Now, when I see the odd person with a guitar on their back, I feel good because it's like, there's a guy still trying to do it, or there's a girl still doing it.
Right,
you know?
right.
But,
So there's some nostalgia there. Times are changing.
nostalgia, but it's also good to see that people are out there now
Yeah.
doing that, because,
Yeah.
you know, it's, you know, it's like I said, it's New York, there's still little pockets of excitement here.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's changed so much even since I lived here a couple of years ago. I mean, a couple of years, a little while back. And even then it changed already. Like I knew it had changed so much. But it's kind of, it still retains the magic and a rhythm that's kind of...
It really does. It's,
second
you know,
to none.
like I said, I'm still here.
Yeah.
I really thought I'd do it, either get wickedly famous or rich, or run the hell home and go back to working in cornfields or grocery stores, and you know, but something just keeps me here.
That's awesome.
You know, so.
Listen, Tom, we've done about the block now. I have this moment at the end called the wow moment, which is the words of wisdom. So it's also like an opportunity just to say a shout out or anything you want to say. You want to come here so I can get you on the light? All right.
Words of wisdom. Just, you know, just do it. Just go out there and do it. You know, stand on the street with your guitar. You know, if you want to be an artist, get 6 people to live with in a studio apartment and do it. Because, you know, it's corny, but those are really some of my favorite moments, for being creative while you're starving and, you know, finding a way to do it. And here I am, still here, you know, somehow.
You want to say bye to the folks at home?
Everybody back in DeKalb, I'll see you in July for the class reunion, and I'll be doing a gig there, so I expect to see you all there. And to the people at the Treehouse at 2A, thing I run on Sunday nights, it's an amazing thing. Come out to the Treehouse, everybody. Thanks.
Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.